Next slide. The selection criteria on the organization seeking funding will center around the ability of the organization and its staff to deliver the proposed activity successfully, notably relevant background of the organization, experience of the staff, and outcomes of previous activities. Some examples of what we would expect to see are such as the organization is made up of staff from the intended audience who have worked to deliver similar activities with a proven track record of impact, or the organization is ready to hit the ground running. Their staff has worked with the target community before. They have a track record of positive outcomes from past activities and have trusted leaders and collaborators at the ready. Or the organization has begun initial talks with trusted leaders and collaborators, and they are on board. Staff has experience in communication of science and health information and can demonstrate positive outcomes. Next slide. So the selection criteria on the quality of the activity include the activity design. Objectives must be consistent with those of the funding opportunity, the description of activity and how objectives will be attained, the use of evidence-based information in activity design and delivery, suitability for intended audience, approach to ensuring that activities are inclusive, appropriate COVID-19 mitigations for the activity if applicable, and a realistic and justifiable budget as well. Next slide. The criteria for impact and reach will include the description of and rationale for intended audiences and how they will be engaged, a demonstrated need for the activity, and an explanation of the added value or benefits that funding will bring to the organization as well as to the participants. Please note that taking equity and diversity into account, NSERC may select for funding meritorious applications that focus on particular underserved or vulnerable groups. Next slide. Next. Okay, finally, I'd just like to point out some important dates in as far as this funding opportunity is concerned. The closing date, the deadline, the application deadline is April 5, 2021. However, April 5 is actually Easter Monday, so we will accept applications up to April 6, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Notification of results is expected end of June, and successful initiatives can expect to receive grant funds in mid-July. Next slide. So for more information, you can visit our website, the program description, Encouraging Vaccine Confidence in Canada, or you can email us at promoscience@nsircrsng.gc.ca. Okay, that concludes the presentation. If you have any questions for us right now, you can submit them in the Q&A box and we'll read them out loud. In the meantime, we'll start by answering the questions that have already been submitted. And please note that if you have any questions in the future, you can always communicate directly with us at Promo Science. Okay, so let's go to the questions.
So we do have a few questions. Did you have any advanced questions, Moama, that you wanted to go through first?
No, I don't have any advanced questions. Maybe I can chip in at a later date, at a later point.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
so
okay.
If we start, I just have to scroll up to, there were a bunch of them. I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the questions was, can the funds be used to co-fund existing an existing project, excuse me? And the answer is that yes, they can, but they have to be for activities that aren't already funded by the original funding that you have. And we'll need to be able to differentiate between the two. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble. I'm reading and scrolling at the same time. My apologies.
Okay.
There was a question on whether or not we will be sending a PDF of the presentation to the participants, and the answer to that is I think we will be easily able to do that at the same time as we send you the link to the audio.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, yep, there's some more. I'm just scrolling.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. It's okay.
Okay, so just to reiterate on that question about the co-funding question of something that's already existing, that you've already have existing funding, whether or not you can use this funding to complement that. So as long as you're not paying for the same thing twice, and your request, I think I did say that, but just to be sure, your request should clearly be distinct from whatever distinct for incremental activities and expenditures. So there was one question about, it was quite specific about a chatbot that can talk to people about why getting a vaccine is important. And that, sorry, my scrolling is, we want to improve the bot to make it more effective, culturally sensitive, etc. It involves collecting data and paying programmers. Is that eligible for funding? And we would also be disseminating the bot for use in the community. So these activities that you propose in your application are expected to be hands-on activities and have an audience that is being exposed to the activity. And as long as your activity matches the objectives of the program, it would be eligible. So in that specific case, perhaps the programming part of it may not be eligible, but certainly once you get it to the stage of going to communities, probably would be. And are there other questions? Is in-kind required? In-kind is not required, but collaboration with leaders in the community is certainly encouraged. If we're partnering with another organization who has the capacity to deliver workshops, can we put a budget item for hiring the workshop facilitator and the cost for the staff from the partner organization to coordinate workshop activities? Oops, my scrolling is not working. Just one moment. Just pausing while I think about the answer to that question. I went too far, sorry.
I can't locate the question either.
Yeah. So the question about the salaries and the facilitator for the activity, the funds that you get from NSERC are not supposed to be for you to pay someone else to deliver the activity, unless the other people are contributing in some meaningful way that hasn't been identified by your question. So just to pay somebody else to deliver an activity is not the intention of this program, but if these people are doing something else, it may be acceptable. Will applications that have mobilized or leveraged other sources of funding have a better chance of being funded, and will in-kind and cash contributions be evaluated differently? I think the answer to that would be no, because in-kind is not